I, 16-year-old female, have been a part of my school's theater company since I was in middle school. Theater means a lot to me, and it's given me a community of silly, talented, amazing people that make up my core friend group. While they would get all the leads for each show, both at our school and local community theaters, I never got anything higher than an ensemble part or a part with a few lines, and it always hurt me a lot because I would feel excluded. I've never let myself feel too discouraged by this, and I've been able to do a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff for shows I'm not a huge part of, like building sets, making props, and directing. This would always be super fun, but never as fun as being on stage and being a part of all the inside jokes my other friends would bring up outside of rehearsals, and this only added to me feeling excluded. Anyway, my friends and I all auditioned for a local teen production of Little Shop of Horrors last week, with 4 of us, including me, all auditioning for Audrey. We auditioned, and I think I do pretty well, but part of me knows I won't get the part. Well, yesterday the cast list came out, and to my surprise, I got Audrey. I'm so excited and still buzzing over the fact that I finally have a lead, and one of my dream roles no less. All of my friends were extremely supportive, and there was no tension among any of us over the results of the cast list. So I accepted the part right away before dancing around my room and going out for ice cream with my friends. When I got back, I texted my boyfriend of a year, 17 years old, male, about the news, expecting congratulations and excitement, since he knows how big of a deal finally getting a lead is for me. But instead, he told me I should reject the part because I'd have to kiss the guy playing Seymour and also generally act romantically around him on stage, and that makes him uncomfortable. The guy playing Seymour is one of my close friends I've known since 7th grade. And our relationship has always been purely platonic. He also has a boyfriend of his own. I can see how my boyfriend would be uncomfortable since I'd be acting romantically with someone who isn't him and with someone I'm pretty close to. I told him I already accepted my part and he left me on read, and I don't really know how I'm feeling at the moment. I'm hurt because he hasn't congratulated me, but I feel bad for potentially hurting him and accepting the part without talking to him about how it would affect our relationship. Am I the jerk for accepting the part? Edit. I just realized that I wrote play in the title when Little Shop of Horrors is definitely a musical. When I say I've never been more ashamed of myself, I mean it wholeheartedly, and I beg for forgiveness. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the jerk. Your high school boyfriend will be a dim, fading memory as you get older, but playing Audrey is something you will treasure for the rest of your life. 16-year-old is way too young to put up with a controlling boyfriend. Little Shop of Horrors isn't the slightest bit racy, and I think the boyfriend is more worried about getting razzed by his peers about the kissing scenes than about how much you want to do this. You can live your dream or live under his thumb. The choice is yours. Have fun while you can. Break a leg and all that. Comment 2. Not the jerk. Sounds like you have amazing friends and an insecure, controlling boyfriend. You know what you need to do here, OP. Huge congratulations on landing the role. Future congratulations for when you drop your deadweight jealous boyfriend. Don't let anyone stand in the way of your dreams. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks so much for all the comments and support on my last post. It really means a lot to me. So it's been a hectic few days since I last updated you all. After my boyfriend left me on red, I tried to give him some space to process everything. I figured he just needed a little time to come around and be happy for me, you know? But boy, was I wrong. The next day at school, my boyfriend completely ignored me, like he wouldn't even look at me in the hallways. I tried to catch him after class, but he just brushed past me like I wasn't even there. It really hurt, especially since I thought we had a pretty solid relationship. Later that day, I had my first rehearsal for Little Shop of Horrors. I was so excited to finally dive into the role of Audrey, but I couldn't shake this nagging feeling in the back of my mind about my boyfriend. I tried to push it aside and focus on the rehearsal, but it was tough. During one of the scenes where Seymour and Audrey have a romantic moment, I noticed my boyfriend standing in the back of the auditorium, watching us. I couldn't read his expression, but I could tell he wasn't happy. After the scene, he stormed out of the auditorium, slamming the door behind him. I tried to catch up with him after rehearsal, but he was long gone. I sent him a text asking if we could talk, but he never responded. I started to feel really guilty, like I had done something wrong by accepting this role. The next day, things got even worse. My boyfriend started spreading rumors about me and the guy playing Seymour. He told people that we were secretly hooking up behind his back and that I only got the role because I was sleeping with the director. It was absolutely ridiculous and couldn't be further from the truth. I confronted him about it, but he just laughed in my face and said I deserved it for betraying him. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I thought he knew me better than that, but apparently not. As if that wasn't bad enough, my boyfriend's rumors started to affect my friendships too. Some of my theater friends started giving me the cold shoulder, like they believed the lies he was spreading. It was like I was being ostracized from the very community that had always been my safe haven. I tried to stay focused on the show, but it was getting harder and harder. I started second-guessing myself and wondering if I had made a mistake by accepting the role. I even considered dropping out, just to make things easier. But then I remembered why I love theater so much. It's always been a place where I could express myself and be someone else for a little while. It's where I found my voice and my confidence. I couldn't let my boyfriend's insecurities and jealousy take that away from me. So I decided to keep going. I threw myself into rehearsals and tried to ignore the whispers and stares from my classmates. It wasn't easy, but I knew I had to stay strong. Opening night finally arrived, and I was a bundle of nerves. I peeked out from behind the curtain and saw my boyfriend sitting in the audience, arms crossed and scowling. I took a deep breath and tried to push him out of my mind. The show went off without a hitch, and I felt like I was on top of the world. The audience gave us a standing ovation, and I couldn't stop smiling. But then I saw my boyfriend storm out of the theater, and my heart sank. After the show, I found him waiting for me outside. He started yelling at me, saying I had humiliated him by going through with the show. He said he couldn't be with someone who didn't respect his feelings and that we were over. I was devastated. I couldn't believe that my dream role had cost me my relationship. But as I watched him walk away, I realized that maybe it was for the best. If he couldn't support me and my passions, then maybe he wasn't the right person for me after all. It's been a tough few days, but I'm trying to stay positive. I know that I made the right choice by following my heart and doing what I love. And even though it hurts right now, I know that I'll come out of this stronger and more confident than ever before. Thanks for reading, everyone. It means a lot to have your support during this crazy time. Am I the idiot for choosing to celebrate Mother's Day with my sister? Instead of our neglectful mother, I, 22-year-old male, am the youngest of my siblings. My oldest sister, Casey, 31-year-old female, is my hero. She has done so much for me and the rest of our siblings, 23-year-old female, 25-year-old male, and 26-year-old female. And they never acknowledge it and only talk about Casey being difficult to our mom or saying she should contribute more when it comes to mom. Background on our childhood is probably relevant here. Casey never really had a parent. Our parents were both terrible people, and our father was in and out of prison. Our mother was extremely harsh towards Casey and treated her poorly. Casey also resembles our father the most out of all of us. Our mother was never kind or caring towards Casey, but she wanted her to be those things for us, so she pushed our mother to take care of us and would be there in the background trying to make it happen. But Casey was often left taking care of us too. She walked all of us to school when we were little. She didn't hang out with friends because she was babysitting or taking care of us. Casey's birthday was forgotten for years, and it wasn't until I wrote it down and made sure I brought it up that we started celebrating it. The rest of our birthdays were celebrated because Casey wrote them down for our mother. She knew it was pointless doing it for herself because our mother hated her. Casey got a part-time job when she was 14 and would help pay for things. She saved up money to go to prom, but ended up spending it all on us because our mother had no money at the time. She didn't go to prom. Instead, she worked that night for extra money. I always noticed it. My siblings always saw our mother as their hero and would get angry at Casey for arguing with our mother. They saw our mother as the greatest. And while she generally treated us better than Casey, the only reason she was involved with us was because of Casey. So for Mother's Day this year, my siblings all wanted to have a big celebration for our mother because she was diagnosed with chronic liver disease and they worry she won't be around much longer. Casey wanted no part in it. My other siblings were angry. I told them Casey didn't owe our mother anything and they argued with me. It was a huge issue, and when Casey didn't show up on Mother's Day, it made them even more upset. I wasn't there either because I chose to go to Casey's and celebrate with her, my brother-in-law, and their kids. My other siblings were being terrible to Casey in our group chat, so I told them they should be more understanding considering everything Casey had done for us, and I listed examples. I also pointed out how our mother treated her poorly, and I listed examples of that too. I told them Casey was more deserving of our Mother's Day celebrations, not our mother. They called me a bad son and a bad brother and said I was sick, just like Casey. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot, sounds like parentification with an hurtful and neglectful parent. Casey never got to be a kid, and yes, the other siblings often don't see it. I went through it, oldest and quite a bit older than my siblings, and I tend to think of it as something like Stockholm Syndrome or other hurtful situations where the abused still loves and cares about the aggressor and doesn't see them as bad like others. You're a great sibling for recognizing it and thanking Casey for her hard work and sacrifices. Comment 2, you are not the idiot. My mom parentified the hell out of me, and my siblings didn't realize it until they were in their 30s, and I moved across the country and they had to handle her on their own. Your siblings may never realize how much your sister has done, but she's really lucky to have you. Good job. Don't let the others get you down. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my previous post. I wanted to give you all an update on what's been happening since then. After I made that post, things got even worse with my siblings. They were furious that I had sided with Casey and refused to talk to me. I tried reaching out to them individually, but they all ignored my calls and texts. It was like I had been completely cut off from the family. A few days later, I found out that my siblings had gone to our mother and told her everything I had said in the group chat. They twisted my words and made it seem like I had been bad-mouthing her for years. My mother was devastated and couldn't believe that I would say such horrible things about her. I tried to explain to my mother that my siblings had taken my words out of context and that I was just trying to defend Casey, but she wouldn't listen. She told me that I was an ungrateful son and that she never wanted to see me again. I was shocked and heartbroken. I went to Casey's house to tell her what had happened, but when I got there, I found out that she had been hospitalized. Apparently, the stress of the situation had caused her to have a severe panic attack, and she had to be rushed to the emergency room. I felt terrible. I knew that my actions had contributed to Casey's condition, and I couldn't help but feel guilty. I spent the next few days by her bedside, trying to support her in any way I could. As I sat there with Casey, I started to reflect on our childhood and everything she had done for us. I remembered how she had always been there for me, even when our mother wasn't. She had sacrificed so much for us, and I had never really appreciated it until now. I also started to think about my own actions and how I had handled the situation with my siblings. I realized that I had made a mistake by airing our family's dirty laundry in the group chat. I should have talked to my siblings privately and tried to find a way to resolve the conflict without causing more drama. When Casey was finally released from the hospital, I apologized to her for everything that had happened. I told her that I was sorry for not being a better brother and for not standing up for her sooner. She forgave me, but I could tell that the whole ordeal had taken a toll on her. In the weeks that followed, I tried to reach out to my siblings again, but they still refused to talk to me. I even tried to apologize to my mother, but she wouldn't accept it. She told me that I had betrayed her and that she could never forgive me. It's been a few months now, and things haven't gotten any better. My siblings still won't talk to me, and my mother has completely cut me out of her life. I feel like I've lost my entire family, and it's all because of a mistake I made. Looking back, I realized that I should have handled things differently. I should have been more understanding of my siblings' feelings and tried to find a way to resolve the conflict without causing more pain. I also should have been more appreciative of everything Casey had done for us and made sure she knew how much she meant to me. But I can't change the past. All I can do now is try to move forward and rebuild my relationship with Casey. She's the only family I have left, and I don't want to lose her too. Thanks for reading, everyone. I appreciate your support during this difficult time. Am I the idiot for not wanting my son's fiancé to call me dad and include me in father-daughter traditions? I, 41-year-old male, have 2 kids with my ex-wife, 42-year-old female, a son named John, 22, and a daughter named Sally, 20. I'm remarried to my wife, 28. I'm very close with my kids. My son is engaged to Abby. She seems nice but has been a bit pushy trying to create relationships with me and my wife, although she's also awkward with her. Abby isn't close to her family. She told us many stories explaining why, and while some of her complaints don't seem awful, it's not my place to judge since I didn't live it. We've tried to be welcoming, but Abby has forced her way into some family traditions where she wouldn't have been invited, and some where no one outside of the specific family would have. She has been calling Sally sis since they were only dating a few months. She has an odd sister/mother-in-law thing she does with my wife. And the one I'm not a fan of, she wants me to be like a father to her. But it's not because we've clicked or anything. We are very different people. I'm not saying that in a bad way, just saying our relationship isn't based on how well we get along. My kids and I have a tradition when they come over. We have a private catch-up in my office study before they leave, which is now even more important to them, because while they both get along well with my wife, they don't want to have personal conversations around her yet. Abby asked if we could talk, and after I explained the tradition, John later asked that I do it, saying she'd never had a caring conversation with her dad. We compromised that I didn't include her in the tradition, but do join the 2 of them for coffee and let her talk. Then she started calling me dad. They weren't even engaged yet. John pulled me aside and begged me to accept that. He laid this whole thing on me about me always being the dad she always wanted, right in front of her, and she just wanted that. He told me she cried watching me and Sally together. She still gives me random hugs. I'm a lucky dad. I didn't like it, but I do feel bad, so fine, I gave her that. She wants me to walk her down the aisle and have a father-daughter dance. I don't want to walk her down, and I walk with a cane, so dancing is hard. At my own wedding, I only danced twice. John is begging for me to do one, preferably the aisle. They came over Sunday. John and I were talking about it when Abby walked in without knocking, asking if he'd told me yet. I asked what, and John said she wanted me to say something about having a second daughter now in my speech and how I loved her. I just looked at him. She asked if I'd do the walk and dance for Sally. I said, of course. She yelled that she's my daughter too, and I said it will never be the same. Sally is my actual daughter. I tried to explain that I talk about her being a happy addition to the family and how much I love seeing how happy she makes Jack, which I thought was a good compromise. But she started crying. John apologized and they left, but he called me almost begging me to reconsider when they were home. Am I the jerk because I won't lie and say I love her or she's my daughter? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. There are obviously several red flags with Abby which John has chosen to ignore. However, it's unfair of him to expect that you and the rest of your family should be required to cater to her irrational whims and behavior. Abby is obviously manipulative, likes being the center of attention, and feels entitled to have everything her way. The only way to deal with people like her is to set boundaries and stick to them. Otherwise, Abby will walk all over you and your family. Comment 2. She sounds like she has abandonment issues with her own family. Your son is her white knight who is going to give her the family fantasy she has always wanted. He is buying into that. But truthfully, she sounds like a whole lot of messed up that someone qualified needs to diagnose and help. It's above your pay grade, and you shouldn't be forced to be uncomfortable to make her happy. Not the idiot now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments and support on my last post. It's been a week since I shared my dilemma about Abby wanting me to treat her like a daughter, and a lot has happened since then. After John and Abby left that day, I had a long talk with my wife about the situation. She understood my perspective, but also pointed out that Abby seems to be coming from a place of deep hurt and longing for a father figure. We agreed that while I can't force a father-daughter bond, I should try to be more understanding and accommodating within reason. The next day I called John and apologized for how I handled things with Abby. I explained that while I care about her, it's hard for me to suddenly see her as a daughter. However, I said I was willing to make an effort to include her more and build a stronger relationship. John appreciated my apology and said he'd talk to Abby. A few days later, Abby reached out to me directly. She apologized for putting me on the spot and acknowledged that she may have been pushing too hard for a father-daughter relationship. She shared more about her childhood and how her own father was emotionally distant and often absent. It helped me understand where she was coming from. We had a good, honest conversation about boundaries and expectations. I told her that while I can't be the dad she always wanted, I do care about her and want to support her and John. We agreed that I would do the father-daughter dance at the wedding, but walking her down the aisle felt like too much too soon. Over the weekend, we had a small family gathering to celebrate John and Abby's engagement. It was a bit awkward at first, but Abby seemed more relaxed and didn't push for any dad moments. I made a point to include her in conversations and treat her warmly. However, there was a bit of tension with Sally. She pulled me aside at one point and expressed feeling left out with all the focus on Abby. I reassured her that she'll always be my little girl and that my relationship with Abby won't change that. But I could tell she was still bothered. As the wedding planning continues, I'm trying to navigate this new dynamic with Abby while also being mindful of Sally's feelings. It's a delicate balance, and I know there will be more challenges ahead. But I'm committed to being there for both my kids and welcoming Abby into the family in a way that feels authentic and comfortable for everyone. Thanks again for letting me share. It helps to get this off my chest and hear others' perspectives. Until next time, take care. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.